Welcome to the Brave Talk Show, the show for brave women craving the connection that comes with real conversations. We are 4 unique women coming together with different perspectives, passions, and experiences. Our goal is to foster healing and connection by making the uncomfortable comfortable. Let's be brave here.
Welcome to the Brave Talk Show. Brave women, bold topics, and nothing is off the table. Today, our topic is I'm excited about it. It's from surviving to thriving, how trauma shapes who we become. And I'm really excited about this topic because it talks not only about just the pain it brings, but the ways it shapes our identity, our relationship, and even our purpose. So this is just let's talk about some of our traumas. I know we're going to trauma bond right now a little bit. Okay. And then what does it mean to survive it? What was that? And then what's the turning point was. And then now what did you have to do? Right? Was it therapy and things like that? And now what does thriving look like for you? So we'll start with asking, what does survival mode look like for each and every one of us? Think of your trauma. Maybe let's do this. Think of a trauma.
Mm-hmm. Should we all go around really quick and share what our trauma is really quick?
Yeah, something that's whoa, that really has, I still have scar from
Don't start with me. Everyone's like, that girl got more trauma than us. Being Thai beanie babies. So obviously off camera, off audio, we were talking about everyone's going to share a trauma. And I'm like, which one? I have so many. I would say some of the traumas are my brutal sexual assault, my divorce, right? Those are the 2 biggest ones in my life. And I'm going to choose my divorce because that's the most applicable right now because I just came out of it, living it. It's very fresh, new still. So I'm going to put my chip on the table, which is trauma coming out of a 15-year relationship with a spouse and navigating all of that.
Wow.
Oh, that's my trauma.
Chip. We just
my chip. Who's going to raise me?
Right.
Oh gosh. I don't know if
raise me up.
So I've talked before about my husband's cancer and that whole situation. So I'll choose something a little different, just to give more people more knowledge, I think, about some of my background. So one that I actually recently went and had some EMDR for, so we can talk about that. So I'll go back to that trauma. I had I was a child of 2 divorces, and my stepfather, my mom's second husband, who she later divorced, he was extremely controlling and emotionally abusive and borderline physical abusing, borderline. Ugh. And so there was a lot that I had gone through with him as my stepdad from age 8 to 16. And there were, it shaped me. It really did. I think it escalated the daddy issues that I already had from my mom's divorce with my biological father. And it escalated it because it led to me wanting to constantly seek his approval because I was never good enough for him. And that led me into a lifetime of people pleasing, a lifetime of other types of issues, which we'll wait till we get to what does survival mode for. But basically, I got daddy issues. That's my trauma. I got daddy issues.
Podcast producer Emily here, stepping in for Brittany. It took me a while to, I don't know, I maybe see it as soft trauma. I feel like it's something that I'm kind of discovering as you put your adult lens on and look back. But it, I guess the culminating event was getting pregnant as a senior in high school and then placing my baby for adoption.
Oh yeah.
I did
that
not
would be
know
totally
that.
traumatic.
Wow, look at you.
What led to that?
Drop a
and then
ball on us here.
Just some, yeah.
Girl, why you been hiding down that back corner?
I know.
You got some stories.
You put the mic in my mouth and here I go.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
We definitely got to hear this story.
We gotta hear about that.
That is a chip right there.
Yeah, I'm going to raise my chip. I don't want to, Shay.
Trauma bonding.
The trauma has bonded.
For me, I was adopted a little bit older. And I think the abuse, that I went through as being adopted by this family. I remember being locked in a room for about 8 months, barely getting food.
Oh my gosh.
Barely getting water. With 3 of my siblings that they have adopted and being treated like we were just not human beings. So being able to survive that that's the trauma that
That's hard. That's hardcore.
Yeah. So, okay. Now that we all have Literally.
Now that our trauma
We've
just
been
bonded
through some
everybody.
shit.
Right?
Yeah, we have.
So knowing this trauma, what does it mean to survive it? Like, in what is the survival mode? So they have high alert, hyper independence, numbness, people pleasing. I think you said that. Like, how do you think you've gone to that like survival mode? Like, how would you define that trauma that we've all talked about?
Well, I think there are parts that are seen and parts that are unseen.
Yes.
Like you might go through something and no one can even tell, versus like when I was pregnant and my mom was refusing to like acknowledge it or tell anyone. I was like, you can't hide this. Like in 9 months, everyone will know you can't hide this. So sometimes I think there's the people that are hurting and you don't even know they're going through everyday life. And then sometimes it's very visual. Like a divorce, a lot of people know about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how that equates to the survival mode.
It does, though, because it says like our trauma response often feel normal or, until we learn otherwise. It's kind of like, oh, what can we hide? Like for you, especially being 17 and your mom being like, and you're like, oh, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm about to have a belly. I'm about, and you're like, probably in the moment, like you say, probably think like, well, that's not traumatizing at all. But now you're looking at it, you're like, oh my gosh, that was
weird that she didn't want to tell my brothers.
Well, to me, it sounds like the trauma would be more in that situation, like less of the pregnancy and more of like, my mom's not seeing me. My mom's not acknowledging me. I'm feeling ignored or abandoned. Like that's how, to me, like that's, it's like the extra stuff on top of it that it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me, I mentioned before, definitely people pleasing. It sent me into, constantly trying to find my father's love in every relationship I had afterward with a male, to whatever degree that was.
Because it felt normal. Because you're like, how do I, trauma response? Trauma response.
And I didn't even realize that's what I was doing. Yeah. I was trying to find my dad.
Yeah.
So crazy Freudian stuff right there. But,
wow.
I think for me, it was taking control of my situation. Like I can't control the outside factors. So you just go into like hyper control mode. Like you're seeking love. And I was just like seeking some steadiness. So
yeah.
Maybe not trusting other people to do stuff. Like I'm going to do it because I can trust myself.
Right.
That was me. I was just like, once I got out, I was just like, I got this. Like, I don't think I can ever trust people because the people that's supposed to love you is the people doing the hurt. So just like, how do you ever like allow somebody to say, hey, I'm your parents. Hey, I love you. But then it's that same people. So I was just like, oh, I can't give control or wait to somebody over my life. Like I have to control, at least me, for myself. What I want for myself, I'm going to have to take that control.
What's weird though with the people pleasing is actually a form of control as well.
Oh, really?
Because but it's passive, right? Instead of, let me tell you what to do. It's basically, if I can make everyone happy around me and I can control their emotions and control the way they think or feel about me, then I can validate myself as worthy of love. It's like the kind of the weird deep psychology there. And you don't realize you're doing it, but you'll do whatever you can to make sure everyone's happy. And if they're sad, or upset, like you'll do what you can to try to stop that, because if anything is wrong, then that like threatens your safety, I guess, in a sense.
That shelf you'll build around you. You're like, oh, well, you don't want that to be disturbed.
I think for me, so as I'm listening to you, I think most of my trauma in my relationship came from unresolved trauma from my sexual assault. Because that happened when I was 18. And then within 1 year, I got married. And looking back, it's like I never dealt with that initial trauma and it festered into my relationship. But mine manifested also as people pleasing, which is called fawning. So we know fight, flight, freeze, and fawn.
Yeah.
And if you've read my book, I have a whole chapter on fawning. That was like the key that unlocked everything for me, where I was able to start realizing my trauma, accepting my trauma, and working through my trauma. But I was a big people pleaser. Also controlled everything around me because I felt like I had no control in my sexual assault and in my marriage and things like that. And also seeking validation from others. Like that was another really big coping mechanism. And I can see now, like looking back at the friends that I had and just the way I showed up online, like seeking a lot of that validation elsewhere. And it's been beautiful to work through that.
And sometimes it's avoiding it too. That's why you're like, okay, I'm going to have all these friends. I'm going to be busy. I'm going to do da-da-da. Because if I think about it, you know what I mean? Yeah, overscheduling. It's just like, because you don't want that quiet moment to be like, oh, let me sit with this. Because like, I want to sit. I want, so you do everything.
Distract yourself from your own discomfort.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was definitely distracting myself from my real life. So like doing a million things and having a million friends and just never, like, I couldn't sit in my own quietness.
But you said you went straight into that, but then you did reach a point where you started. When was the realization of like,
turning point?
Yeah, because then you said later you went, oh, this isn't right. And you started like cutting those things out that you realized.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the catalyst was.
The turning point of it all.
Well, I think the turning point and the realization are two different moments. The turning point was really more like a crisis point. It was like an eclipse in the relationship where it's like, I can't do this any longer. And later, years later, I'm now realizing that played into unresolved trauma from my sexual assault. At the time, I didn't think the two were related. And looking back now, I see how they probably were intertwined more than I thought. So the crisis was, I can't stay in this relationship anymore. Obviously filed for divorce. Everything blows up because from the outside, we looked like a fabulous couple when it really wasn't that. But the awareness is now, I'm, 4 years out from this. The awareness is now my nervous system has had a chance to calm down. I've stepped out of fight or flight. I've done incredibly deep healing, introspection, EMDR, like been in constant therapy to just even like grapple with what happened. Cause it all kind of eclipsed so fast.
Because for you, resolution was like, well, he went to prison.
Yeah.
And, and so you were like, I'm moving on. I got married.
Yeah. I just moved on and got married.
As if prison solved all the problems.
Yeah,
solved the
exactly.
But we're not addressing the deep issue
I didn't
that happened with
the
that.
proper help as I should have. But then also my own childhood, wounds and trauma webbed into why I married this person and what I allowed and I never should. Yeah. But all that came to like such an eclipse that it was like fight or flight. I got to get out of it. And then it took me many years to like unpack it. Like to why did this happen? What was really happening? And so I would say just now, like within the past year, I'm finally at peace. I finally have understanding. I can accept it. I still sit with grief. I have the awareness. And so now it's like, like we're talking 4 or 5 years after this has all happened, I'm finally just having the awareness of like, oh, that was that. And this wasn't that. And that was from this trauma. And this was from that. But it's come with deep, deep education and therapy. Like I haven't just been sitting on my butt for 4 or 5 years. Like I've been discovering myself. I've been in the work. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like what you like, that's my healing. You know what I mean? It looked, you had to get to that rock bottom. I think at time it was like things were coming left and right at you. Like, okay, my ex is coming for me. My friends are, are turning on me. And it's like that rock bottom to be like, okay, I got to really like take a step back and look at it and then make a decision of like, I want to heal. Like, I'm not going to do it with all these people around. And you had to probably have to let people go. Like, I'm going to shut the door to having everybody in my space because the voices are loud, right? Yeah. The voices were loud. Like the friends that I say, why did you leave? Oh, yeah. Why didn't you do this?
The voices were loud. Yeah. The internet was loud. My family was loud. Yeah. But also like, that just wasn't the one thing. Like I had to go way back to my childhood trauma and sit with that and work through it and sit through my sexual assault. Like all of the eclipse coming to my divorce is from many, many, many unresolved traumas where I was never given the skill. I was taught that fawning was the skill and it was just letting it bury into my body and nervous system until I self-imploded.
Yeah. For me, I think what sparked healing was like safe relationship. Like, having to be able to find somebody, I think with like, it's not like he comes and heal me, but being able to trust someone that was like, hey, like, I got you. You can trust me, but then not just by the words, by the action, right? Because they were doing things that were just like intentional. Like, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want somebody that loves me unconditionally. And that's what I found in my husband. And that's what sparked my healing. Like, well, I want to be better. You know what I mean? I didn't put myself through this, but I want to be better. I want to be healed so then I can be able to open a space up for somebody to come and see the love that I have to give. And so for me, that's what was like, I got to get better for myself. So then I can let somebody else that have shown me that they're safe to be able to allow them to love me. And that is hard to do. That was hard, but it helps. It definitely helps. So yeah, I kind of like that.
It's beautiful. Let's see. For me, I think it took being married and noticing that over the course of my marriage, I was becoming, and I think cancer, the cancer added a lot more to it, but I was becoming increasingly worse in my people pleasing and codependency inclinations that I had my whole life, but it was becoming like really, really noticeable and debilitating to the point where if my husband was upset with me in any way, I was just a collapsed heap on the floor, like crying, like just so upset that he was upset with me and just unable to almost function at times, like where I couldn't even like get up and go, and then I would just like this domino effect of everything. I can't even explain it. Like I would just, everything became too much because I was so overwhelmed with my own emotions over not being perfect, not being, and being okay and not being, getting to a place where it's like, is your husband the problem or are you the problem? Right. And honestly, like, I don't think it was 100% me. Like, I think that my husband can be a critical person.
Yeah.
But I also am super hyper codependent too. And so it's like, okay, you can live your life where, your life would be so much better if your husband was just never upset with you and never critical of you, which, okay, I can't control people.
Yeah.
I learned that.
Yeah.
I was trying to with my codependency, but guess what? It wasn't working. And I was only getting
he's
worse.
not doing what I want.
Right. And I was only getting worse. And so it got to a point where it was like, I am miserable. And if I don't get help now, if I don't help myself, like I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And so at that point, I decided to get myself into therapy. And I had already tried talk therapy, and talk therapy was helpful to a point, but I recognized that like some of my stuff that I was dealing with was just, I couldn't get it. I can resolve it with just talking about it or knowing the right answers because it was ingrained in my body. Like my body was responding, even when my brain was saying, okay, that's not how it's supposed to be. Like my body was like, no, this is the way I'm going to act. And that's the way it's going to be. So I ended up deciding to get into EMDR, which I'm actually doing right now.
Nice.
I love
I'm in the
EMDR.
midst
It's a good therapy.
That's hard
good.
work.
Yeah.
That stuff is a can of whoop ass.
It is.
You open, like people don't know. I'm like, go back to all your most traumatic moments and relive them.
And live it and feel it.
Yes, and
but
feel
you're
it.
reframing it. And that's been a really cool experience is going back and then reframing it.
I think
so
it gives you
that my
power
body can
too.
calm
It gives
down.
you power to like take over. You know what I mean? I think that's really what, and even it talks about here, like the tools for the journey of, but what does thriving looks like now? Like, the thing is, I think with trauma, I always talk about this. And when we talk about trauma at work, it's just like you get a cut, right? And then you clean it. If you really want to heal and make it, clean and you just have the scar, you'll take care of it. You clean it, you dress it up and go check it out so it's not infected. And that's kind of like a trauma, right? You can go through it and then you can be like, well, I'm not going to take of it. So if you have that cut and you don't take care of it, it's going to be infected. It's going to keep digging and you can lose your arm.
It's a fester.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's like trauma.
That's
so
a good
I think
visual.
so I think like thriving, it doesn't mean like you completely like, like you don't remember. And I think people think about like how after you've been through all these things, how you not. But I'm like, because you've done the work. Like we do it, or we still doing the work, right?
The work
EMDR,
never ends.
It never ends.
Yeah.
But
Can
we
you
have,
honestly say you're healed?
No,
I
don't think there's a D on the end of it.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's what you're saying. How you're thriving. Like what does thriving to become your true self now after going through that trauma? Like what does that look like?
Thriving for me,
Yeah.
well, I think thriving is personal. Everyone has a threshold and a bandwidth of like what they want in their life and how they experience pain and joy. And I think you become more diverse and more capable as you have trauma and as you have joy, right? That's like the crappiest part about it is those who feel the highest joy are those who feel the deepest pain. But for me, I think thriving is very personal. For me, being in a healthy, stable relationship makes me feel like I'm thriving.
Yeah.
Being able to provide for my children on my own and not relying on anyone else is thriving.
Yeah.
What's really thriving for me is the work that I do doesn't feel like work. Like it's my passion and it's where I leave my impact. So like for me, I'm living my ultimate thriving goal is like, I'm doing what I feel I was called here to do. And that feels thriving. Is my life perfect? No. Are days still hard? Yes. Do I have it all put together? No. But overall sense, I'm like, wow, I came out of that and I'm no longer thriving, but I'm in a place where I feel like I could guide and mentor other people.
I love that. Because it's not about having a perfect life. It's about like a worthy life. Like I have a life that I'm worthy and proud of. It's not going to be perfect, but at least I've gotten my step to that threshold where I feel like I can get up this morning and carry on with my life. And I think that's what it is. And I think, like you say, it's going to look different for everybody, you know, because when we, like you said, thriving for me, it's just like, oh, my kids are happy. You know, I am giving them a life that I never imagined I could, like, I didn't live. And I'm doing a life that I never imagined I would even be here to live. And that to me is watching my kids like just thrive themselves. That's for me, that's enough to be like, oh my gosh, I conquer, I overcome, and I'm becoming the person that I'm wanting to be.
You're like breaking generational chains, right?
Literally.
Yes.
Literally. So,
I think for me, the way I see it as the difference between surviving and thriving is when you're surviving, you're allowing your trauma in many ways to still control you and to deprive you of the joys and peace in life. Whereas when you're thriving, you've gone past that. It doesn't mean that the trauma is not there, but you're no longer allowing it to control you anymore or steal your joy and steal your peace. Like you're working, you know, you might still be working through it, right? But you're still, you've been able to box it up in a certain way and go, okay, you know, this is how we're going to function here. And I'm going to work on you and we're going to try to reduce you a bit. And sometimes you're going to get big and you're going to get loud, but, we'll work through it and you have the tools to be able to do so. And then that way you can still enjoy, you know, the blessings that you have in life that a lot of times I think when we're in survival mode, we don't even see it, you know, or we can't even enjoy it because we're just trying to do the like basic stuff.
Yeah. And I think for me, because it was more relationship based of like the relationship I was in that led to getting pregnant and then not feeling as supported after, the setting boundaries, like, hey, now I know what dating a narcissist looks like setting that boundary of like not letting them push or getting myself in that situation again. So more self-protection, I guess. And then having like seeing recurring things over years of like, oh, I can't trust this person, but they are a part of my life. And so having a boundary, even though there's a lot of love there and good intentions, just enough things have happened that it's like, I can't trust. And I had to teach my kids, like, you know, just have open communication and dialogue that I didn't feel like I had and try and provide that support. So that's kind of healing for me and helps feel like, oh, I'm not just surviving. I'm like you said, breaking any kind of generational, hopefully, leaving the next, I shouldn't say leaving, but like helping the next generation be able to operate in a better way and have a better relationship and modeling healthy relationships for them.
Yeah.
What I'm kind of hearing from every single person that you said was I just kept having this visual of like, when you're a survivor, like let's say someone who's starved of food, you can't even feed yourself or nourish yourself. You're trying to stay alive. But a thriver is someone who not only can feed themselves, but can now feed others. And every single one of you mentioned like thriving to you was being able to then guide or mentor or bless someone else through that pain. And so I think of like all those times where I was just scratching and clawing to stay alive. And now it's like I can feed myself and I also have the capacity, the bandwidth to bless and feed others who are starving, right? You're now a leader in that space or a speak leader or a mentor or just genuinely in a place where you can now help others through it.
Amen. I think that it's switching from a victim mindset, which has its place and there's times where you are that, and switching to an abundance mindset of like, what can I do? Where is my responsibility at this point? What do I do with this?
Because you can go, you know, I think I talk to, or when I work with the kids, I'll say, you can sit here and be a victim to your circumstances. Like that can take you in life. You can use that and you'll notice like, you're not going to be living your full self. But at one point, I think if you take this step and be like, you know what, I am a victim, but now I'm going to choose to do what I can do to get out of that victim. Like you not always have to be a victim to your circumstances. You can choose on how you want to move forward. And I think that's really hard sometimes to do.
Victim or victor. It's choice.
Ooh,
that's a chapter of my book. Have you guys read it? Be honest.
I started listening to it.
Okay.
Yes.
I've not yet.
I read through about halfway, and then I don't know what happened. So I need to get to the second.
I'm actually, I think,
hot
listen. I think I'm at like the first 5 episodes, the first 5 chapters. Because I'm like, I was in the car and I was listening. It's really
It was
good.
so good. I was messaging you when I was reading the first 5 chapters.
When you came, I had to support, so I just I grabbed it.
Well,
But,
get back on because
really
I have a chapter called "Victim versus Victor," and it literally talks about this exact same thing.
Perfect.
I love that. That's a
I'll
good way
repent.
to end the episode. You know, we all out here. You know, you've been to trauma, and I think the other part too. Like we all, especially us here, we all have a partner, and sometimes it's hard to go. Like, don't feel like you have to go through it alone. You have people there to kind of like help you guide to that. But thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining our Brave conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave a positive review and subscribe to this podcast for more Brave conversations. We encourage you to be brave and continue the conversation on our social media platforms everywhere at The Brave Talk Show. See you next week.
How you do the things that you do.